All right, team, how we doing? Coach Dana Cavalea here with you. Happy Monday. A little motivation Monday, just a lesson to start the day. I have a full board for us today. And I titled it High Performance Living, and I'm just focusing on two components of high performance living, which is fuel and mentality. And I know some of this may seem basic, but I think it's so important to just hammer down the basics, the foundational principles of success as it relates to our nutrition as well as our overall mental state and mentality. So let's talk about fuel real quick. Fuel, what we put into our body, super important. What we put in, we often get out. Fuel is energy. When we take in food and we take in calories, a calorie is a unit of energy. So we want to make sure we're giving ourselves enough without flooding the gas tank where there's gas dripping all over the car, which turns into stored fat. So I always say we have to eat clean. What are our clean sources, right? Anything that's not doused in sauces, marinades, salts, etc. A lot of butters, the things that we tend to see when we go out to eat a lot, right? And one thing I want you to remember is when you go out to eat, you can request how you want your food prepared. For years, when I go out with the players and when I go out with my players today, we request how we want the food prepared because we want to make sure that we can still go out to eat and still socialize, but we have a say in the caloric intake and preparation of those foods to make sure that we're not falling behind and going backwards, okay? So make sure we have clean food, lean meats, fish, fruits, vegetables, anything that's not processed, bagged, or packaged, okay? Simple. Water, right? Half our body weight in ounces per day. In the summer, I like to add 10 to 20%, especially if we're training outside, okay? So half your body weight in ounces per day. Lean protein. When you study your macronutrient intake, so many people naturally will be high in carbs, higher in fats, and very low in protein. We want to flip that. Let's get the protein up, let's keep the fats moderate, and let's keep the carbs lower, and that'll help keep us leaner. Now, if we are training for a half marathon, training for a marathon, or anything like that, we have to make sure that we are taking our carbs up just a bit and that we're providing our carbs from good, clean sources, right? We're getting our brown rices, we're getting our quinoas, we're getting our grains, ancient grains and things like that. But we want to make sure that we're staying away from the muffins and those carbs that contain high levels of sugar. Very basic, but it's important that we remember. Another thing, moderate your calories. If you're trying to keep your weight in check, you'll be amazed at how when you just do a flyby and a grab and go and you throw that in your mouth and throw that in your mouth throughout the day, that could be 300 calories. And 300 over 7 days is a good amount of calories. That's 2,100 calories in a week extra just throwing down. We got to make sure that we stay on top of that. That's a very simple way to moderate our calories. The other thing we could do to moderate calories is watch what we're drinking. Right? Any kind of sugary beverages, alcohol, all of those extra features affect the way we're able to moderate our calories. Next, no eating 3 hours before bed. Nothing worse as you get older than dealing with acid reflux because of late night eating. So if you know that you're going to be eating later, you got to go to bed later. And that's why sometimes when we go out late, we eat late, we drink late, we end up going to bed late. We feel like hell the next day, okay? So super simple, no eating 3 hours before bed. These are just simple fueling rules that'll help you feel better. So we're getting a direct return on our fuel. Now let's talk about mentality, right? Controlled. When it comes to our mindset, we don't want to bounce right, bounce left, be bouncing all over the place and be reactive to life. We don't want to be reactive to our outcomes. We don't want to be reactive to people. We don't want to be reactive to meetings and how they go. Again, outcomes. So we want to make sure that we have a controlled mentality. We're not getting super high, we're not getting super low, and we're staying very within ourselves. We're not trying to be too much, we're not trying to do too much, but over time, if we execute our process, we will end up great, and that's what we want, okay? So your pace. You're going to meet so many people, and you may even fall victim to this. You may have already fall victim to this. People are going to try to push your pace, whether it's board members, whether it's people on your team, whether it's yourself trying to compete with other people. Pace is really important. You've got to remember your pace. It's your pace. Now, that doesn't mean you should be lazy. but it means you have to have a pace. We all work at different paces. Some of us, when we get too fast, we get stressed, we get anxiety, we get overwhelmed. Find your pace and the pace that works for you, and don't let other people push it. Okay, next, clear objectives. When you go into your day, when you go into your week, do you have clear objectives? Or are you just showing up and saying, I got to do this, I got to do that, I got to do it? Or is it written down? Are you focused? Do you have clear objectives? And then you just double down and execute, right? So I break that down into power plays and assists. Your power plays, every day you have to have your power plays. Power plays are usually 1 to 3 things. These are the most important things, where if I knock this off my list or these off my list, I will feel free. I will feel relaxed. I won't feel stressed. I won't feel pressure. I'll be traveling light, as I like to say. So that's why we have to get them done. And usually the power plays are the things that we avoid. They're the hard conversations. They're the tough meetings. They're the hard phone call. It's the work that is actually going to take a lot out of us from an energy standpoint, but we have to do it. And those are our power plays. Nothing takes precedent over those power plays. Not checking email, not phone calls, nothing. When we get that done, we're free. We can do whatever we want, and then we can move into what I call our assists. And our assists are everything else. Those little tasks that don't require a lot of mental and physical energy to get done, but we got to get them done. Lastly, mentality. Yes, it's controlled, but we have to take our mentality and lean it more towards the positive, but I like to say opportunistic side of things, right? So some of us may not be overly positive, especially those that are in the Northeast. We tend to have a lot of pressure, and we put a lot of pressure on ourselves and high expectations. But we got to see opportunity in what we do. So when we get down, negative, frustrated, and flustered, that's not opportunistic. That is not optimistic. That is not going to get us to where we want to go. Now, you could be pissed, you could have a chip on your shoulder, and you could play hard. But you'll always got to see that opportunity. You always have to be opportunistic. And when you are, that's when you have your best chances for success. So that's fuel, that's mentality. And again, I always say it all begins with how you see yourself and how you feel about yourself. Everything that I talk about with you is based on you feeling better about yourself and getting you to see yourself as a champion leader, a champion, I like to say sometimes killer, where you're going to go after it and nothing's going to stop you. I want you to be a freight train. See yourself as that unstoppable train in everything that you do, while you're staying controlled and keeping on top of your own personal housekeeping. And when I say it in this sentence, it is success and happiness. So your success and happiness all begins with how you see yourself and how you feel about yourself. So that's the true essence of high performance living. It's not always about income and status and title. It's about how you feel about yourself in terms of how you define success and how you define happiness. So today's simple lesson, take it with you, listen to it this week. If you feel somebody else could benefit, pass it on, but this is exclusively for you right now, and I hope you enjoy today's simple lesson. This is Coach Dana Cavalea. Have a great week. Let's get after it, and let's make it happen. See ya.